Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Mugen Lord here, and today I want to continue the discussion about how developers are now speaking up about the development process and how gaming has somewhat been stagnant in terms of creativity. I told you guys in 2025, this is definitely going to be the year that you'll be surprised by how many game developers and directors and producers are going to start standing up and speaking their mind about the current trends that's going on within the gaming industry itself. You already know that the gaming industry is going down a dark spiral. I mean, even IGN themselves had even admitted that, hey, I think the AAA gaming market has pretty much burst, that we don't know. We may be discovering a gaming reset or a game market crash at some point, or if not, you may be already experiencing it right now with all the layoffs. Now, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because Sakurai, the father of Super Smash Bros., had made a statement today, or a couple days ago by the time you see this video, claiming that he wished that Japanese developers focus more on creating games that focus on Japanese audience or the Japanese culture itself, instead of trying to Americanize games and appeal to the Western market. Now, I already talked about this, and I'm glad a lot of you guys have pointed out that, hey, Mugen Lord is right about this. He just talked about this, because I've mentioned that the main reason why I love, JRPGs or Japanese games in general, especially back in the day. I mean, I'm old. I've been playing games, since way early in the 90s all the way up into now. And I've said that the reason why I love Eastern games, more specifically Japanese games, because they are Japanese. That's why I love them so much. We also discussed how Square Enix had admit that they go to the ethics department and speak with them, because now when they design their games, they keep the global market in mind when pursuing the game development process. And Sakurai is pretty much saying the exact opposite. Like, no, we have to focus on and keep our games to feel and authentic and remain Japanese. So there was an article on The Gamer where Sakurai himself elaborated a bit more when he was asked this question, because he had just received a prize recently, or an award recently, for his hard work, especially within the gaming industry itself. So I just want to go quote this to you guys of what he said. I quote, "It's not really my own idea, but as an industry trend, I think Japanese people should keep pursuing things that Japanese people like," Sakurai suggested. "There was a culture of making Americanized games because various games were popular in America." And I said this before. The Japanese side of the gaming industry had spent time looking at the success that Western games were pretty much releasing at the time. And I said this time and time again. Some people may not agree with me, but I've always said that, we don't give Xbox or Microsoft credit where credit is due. They're more so responsible for the push for Westernized games, especially when the first Xbox came out, where now you have Western developers who normally would just traditionally make games on the PC, are now developing games and bringing it over to console hardware. And the Xbox was that siphon for them to do that. And ever since that had happened, we started seeing a lot of Westernized games being introduced to console gamers who mostly played more slow Japanese games. So then we get introduced to Western style RPGs that would normally be played on the PC, but now on the console. We started to see the rise of first person shooters, thanks to Halo, really hitting the ground hard on consoles. So we're starting to see a whole shift within the gaming industry itself, where now you had companies like Capcom trying to adapt, and a lot of Japanese companies couldn't adapt to it because they had their own method of how to design games. But Capcom tried it with their initiative. That's why you've seen games like Bionic Commando and many other games started taking a more of an Americanized approach. Also with Sega with the game Vanquish, that was taking more of a Americanized approach to shooters and cover shooters and everything. So Gears of War had changed the game. Call of Duty had changed the game. Halo had changed the game. There's a lot of things that happened during that era, and I witnessed all of that. And here it is, we have Sakurai saying the same thing, where he's stating that, hey, like, we need to stop trying to chase these trends or trying to Americanize our Japanese games. And this is why a lot of Japanese games has been suffering for the past couple of years, especially more specifically Square Enix themselves in the video that I did cover, because what's the point? Like, why would I want to play an Americanized watered down Japanese game when I can just play a Americanized games itself. I come to Japanese games to play their unique way of designing games, and I've grown up with Japanese games almost my entire life, so I enjoy those type of games. And if we having the thing where some Japanese developers are losing a bit of their Japanese identity. So Sakurai also continued on to say that, I quote, "I think they seek the uniqueness and fun of Japanese games," Sakurai said. Yes, he believes that overseas fans who enjoy Japanese games enjoy them because of their authenticity and don't want filter experiences intended to cater to their personal experiences. And that's what we're talking about. See how this article reflects on everything that I mentioned for the past couple of videos in terms of how developers are starting to speak up. And it's not even just Asian developers, it's Western developers too. I also mentioned that how we had developers from the West, like the CEOs of Rocksteady, had left to move on and start a new studio. We also had Western studios like CD Projekt Red. We had developers leave that company to start their own studios so they can be able to express themselves. And the best way to express yourself is when you have that freedom to do so, instead of the corporate overlords pushing, these ideas, to make money. Hey, let's see what they're doing over here and let's just copy and paste. And you have passionate developers out there who want to create great games. And it's good that Sakurai himself, who's a legend within the industry, and I like the fact is that he opened up to actually talk about this. Now, you also have some people on, mainstream or on Twitter, X themselves, talking about, in disagreement with Sakurai, stating that no, developers should make the games that they want. And I do agree with that. But a lot of them aren't really making the games that they want. They create these games, but then they feel as though that being purely Japanese may not capture a wide net on the audience, so they have to adopt some of the Americanized or some of the Western trends that goes on and incorporate their game, hoping that it will bring in more people. But the problem is, it's always happening to our legendary properties that's from Japanese developers that suffers the most when they try to incorporate these things. So Sakurai continues and he says, I quote, "I think that the ideal would be make games the way you like, as those who agree with you will like them." He stressed that doing things freely without succumbing to external pressure is crucial to creating games. Yes, I think that's definitely important, man. Like right now we have a lot of developers that's pretty much bowing down to the pressure of a lot of the political aspects that's going on within the gaming industry itself. Also, now that we have social media, the developers are able to see what's going on in the social political landscape within the gaming culture itself, even with the game journalists. And what they're seeing is they're seeing certain narratives, and they think that, hey, if we placate to this narrative, maybe we'll get good ratings, or maybe we'll please this side, and we have to worry about them trying to cancel us or give us a bad grade or a bad marking because we didn't implement these trends that's going on within social media itself. And I've always been telling you guys that social media isn't real life. Social media isn't real life at all. And some of these developers are starting to understand that, is that every time they try to placate or try to cater to these people within like the game journalists, these certain groups on social media, is that these people never come out to support these games, or it's not even enough of them. This modern audience, this global audience, it's not enough of them to be able to capitalize and make profit off of it. We see games like Assassin's Creed Shadows that's getting obliterated through social media and through gamers themselves, as we've been having discussions. The other developments games, Concord, Dragon Age Velguard, we've seen a lot of these games fail, and of course Forspoken from Square Enix themselves. So now they're starting to see the reality of it. Like, hey, the internet is telling us that this is a big deal, representation and all these other type of things, but then we put this game out, it doesn't perform well at all. So it's good to see that these developers are speaking out. And I told you guys that 2025 is going to be an interesting year as far as the gaming culture is concerned. We already starting to see our favorite developers branching out, starting their own studios. We talked about Ozawa himself when he worked at NetEase to help with Visions of Mana, and they lost their job, and now he started a new studio, and he cares about game development. He cares about game developers and his employees, and he want to create an environment for gamers or developers to create the games that they want to create, and that's a good thing. And I think that's what's end up going to happen within the industry itself. We're going to start seeing developers, and we're going to start seeing a new boom or a new generation or a new era of game development that kind of reminisce, gaming of the past, while at the same time incorporating a new generation of game development and game design and ideology that would benefit the market and also benefit the fans in general and create new competition. And hopefully that these legacy studios and these AAA studios will see that and they begin to adopt this behavior or this new norm that's going to become within the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm looking forward to it. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think about Sakurai's comment about Japanese developers constantly Americanizing their games instead of just creating the games based on their experience, which is Japanese, the Japanese culture, which makes these games diverse, which makes these games unique from anything we have ever played. And we already starting to see how different Asian games are now that China and Korea themselves are now stepping into the console arena, and they've been putting out bangers after bangers for the past 2 years now. So it's good to see that. So definitely let me know if you like the video. Hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is Mugen Lord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.